You're not broken. If you've ever felt your chest tighten without warning, your thoughts racing like a storm, you are not flawed, you are human. Anxiety has long been portrayed as the villain, a silent enemy inside our minds. But what if we've been seeing it all wrong? What if anxiety isn't here to destroy us, but to warn us, to wake us? Anxiety is uncomfortable, yes. It can paralyze decision-making, ruin sleep, and fracture joy. But discomfort does not equal danger. In fact, our ancestors survived precisely because they felt anxious. It told them when to run, when to prepare, when to hide. In today's world, that same system is still active. Only now, the tigers we flee from wear suits, send emails, and speak in deadlines. Scientifically, anxiety originates in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center. It doesn't wait for logic. Its job is to shout first, think later. When your body trembles before a big meeting or a tough conversation, that's your nervous system trying to protect your future. The trouble begins when we mistake this signal for catastrophe. The Stoics called this error in judgment. Epictetus once wrote, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This is the heart of the Stoic view on anxiety. It is not the moment that breaks us. It is our interpretation of the moment. Anxiety, in its purest form, is just energy. Our fear gives it form, our judgment gives it teeth, but our awareness can give it peace. Imagine a fire alarm that rings every time you boil water. Loud, urgent, annoying. Yes. But the alarm is not the enemy. It's simply sensitive, maybe too sensitive. In the same way, anxiety doesn't mean something is wrong. It means your system is sensitive to uncertainty. And sensitivity, when understood, becomes wisdom. The next time anxiety visits you, pause. Don't resist it. Don't judge it. Instead, observe it. Sit with it like a teacher you don't fully trust yet. Ask it gently, "What are you trying to protect me from?" You may hear stories of inadequacy, fear of loss, fear of shame. But by listening, you regain control. Because naming the fear weakens its grip. What you resist persists. It's a quiet paradox. The harder you try to silence anxiety, the louder it screams. You fight it with distraction, denial, or positivity, layered like wallpaper over a crack. But underneath, it waits, not as your enemy, but as something wanting to be seen. Could it be that the pain grows, not because of anxiety itself, but because of our refusal to feel it? Imagine standing in the ocean. Waves crash, and you push back with all your strength, only to find yourself exhausted, dragged under. But when you float, when you surrender, you rise. Anxiety works the same way. It is a wave of emotion, not meant to be defeated, but understood and ridden. From a biological perspective, resistance activates the same stress circuits as danger. Trying to get rid of anxiety actually tells the brain, "This is bad, we're under threat." And so, your body tightens, your breath shortens, adrenaline surges. You're no longer just anxious, you're anxious about being anxious. This feedback loop becomes suffering. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't dismissing pain, he was pointing to its multiplication. By imagining that anxiety itself is something to fear, we add layers of resistance, shame, and self-judgment. But what if you dropped the story? What if you stopped labeling anxiety as wrong and simply let it be? In modern life, resistance takes many forms. Endless scrolling, avoiding silence, overwork, each one a distraction from what's bubbling beneath. A man afraid to pause, a woman who cannot sit still, all because sitting still would mean facing the storm within. But the storm only rages when it's locked outside. Invite it in, and you may find it softens. Next time anxiety appears, don't say, "Go away." Say, "You are welcome." Close your eyes. Place your hand on your chest. Name it. This is fear, or this is uncertainty. Feel it move. Notice its shape, its rhythm. And then, watch it fade, not by force, but by attention. Growth rarely feels like comfort. It feels like tension, like uncertainty. It feels like standing at the edge of something unfamiliar. And that's exactly what anxiety is. a signal that you are brushing against the boundary of who you used to be. So what if anxiety isn't a stop sign, but a threshold? What if it's not a problem, but an invitation? We often say, "I want peace," but real peace doesn't come from escaping emotion. It comes from learning how to be with it, without panic. Anxiety is part of that training. Each time it visits and you stay with it, just a little longer, you grow your capacity. Not just to survive, but to expand. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain is plastic, moldable. Each moment you observe anxiety with presence instead of fear, you create new neural pathways. You are literally rewiring how your body responds to stress. The longer you stay, the more the signal fades. It's not magic, it's adaptation. Growth is the body learning that the unknown is no longer dangerous. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In this light, anxiety becomes a mirror. It reflects the edges of our identity, our control, our ego. Growth begins when we stop trying to eliminate the mirror, and instead, look into it. Consider the artist who feels anxious before releasing new work, the student shaking before an exam, the parent unsure about their child's future. These aren't flaws, they're thresholds. In every case, anxiety is whispering, "This matters. You're entering new ground." And every time you step forward anyway, you evolve. Start asking a new question, not, "How do I get rid of this?" but, "What is this asking me to grow into?" Maybe courage, maybe patience, maybe trust. Let anxiety point toward your next evolution, and respond not with fear, but with curiosity. The Stoics didn't chase peace. They cultivated it, quietly, internally, like a flame in the wind. In a world full of chaos, they learned to sit with discomfort and still remain grounded. This is where modern anxiety meets ancient wisdom. Because what you need in moments of overwhelm is not more information, but stillness. To the Stoics, emotions were not enemies. They were indicators. Seneca taught that fear and anxiety arise not from life itself, but from our distorted expectations of it. They believed in confronting feelings, not suppressing them, with reason, reflection, and restraint. Anxiety, when met with clarity, loses its power to control us. So how did they sit with anxiety? First, by practicing premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst. This wasn't pessimism, but preparation. By calmly considering possible outcomes, they trained their minds to respond instead of react. It's not about expecting disaster. It's about reducing its surprise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety," or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. This is the essence of the Stoic lens. Anxiety is often not about what is, but what we think about what is. By examining that thought, with honesty, not panic, we take back our freedom. Try this. When you feel anxious, pause. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? Then ask, is that story true or just familiar? This is called cognitive separation. The ability to observe a thought without merging with it. Stoicism is not about suppressing anxiety. It's about refusing to let it own your identity. In modern life, the Stoic path means turning inward, not tuning out. When your phone buzzes, your to-do list grows, and your chest tightens, stop. Breathe deep. Recall the words of Epictetus. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Your response is your power. And in that space between trigger and choice, you reclaim yourself. Anxiety doesn't need a grand solution. Often it just needs a small ritual, done consistently, intentionally, quietly. Growth doesn't always feel like a breakthrough. Sometimes it feels like brushing your teeth, for your mind. If anxiety is the fire, daily practices are the water that keeps it from burning out of control. The Stoics knew that daily training was more powerful than rare wisdom. Marcus Aurelius journaled every morning, not to be poetic, but to clear his thoughts before facing the world. He didn't wait for anxiety to disappear. He prepared his mind to meet it, again and again. Routines are not escapes, they are anchors. Begin your day in silence, no phone, no noise. Just you and your breath. Ask yourself, what do I actually need today, not what I fear? This simple pause resets your nervous system. It reminds you, you are not your schedule. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing it all, calmly. Take 10 minutes to journal. Write your fears, your assumptions, your reactions. Then respond to them like a Stoic philosopher would. Challenge them. Question their truth. Bring your anxiety into the light of reason. Seneca said, "If you wish to put off all worry, assume that what you fear may happen certainly will happen. And you'll see. You are more capable than you think. When anxiety rises, return to your senses. Feel your feet against the ground. Name 5 things you can see. 4 you can touch. 3 you can hear. 2 you can smell. 1 you can taste." This isn't therapy jargon. It's ancient awareness. You are bringing the mind back to now. And now is always manageable. The Stoics practiced discomfort on purpose. Cold showers, fasting, walking in silence. Not to suffer, but to remember. You can handle more than you think. Anxiety shrinks when you practice discomfort by choice, because then fear no longer surprises you. You've met it before, on your terms. What if healing begins not with control, but with surrender? Not surrender as defeat, but as the radical act of saying, "Yes, this is here, I won't run." Anxiety often grows stronger the more we fight it. But when we soften toward it, something shifts. The Stoics were not cold men. They felt deeply, but refused to let emotions define them. Epictetus taught, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." This isn't passive acceptance. It's active alignment. It's learning to trust the moment, even the hard ones. There's a myth that acceptance means apathy, that if you accept anxiety, you stop trying to improve. But real acceptance is the opposite. It's seeing things clearly, without denial or resistance, so you can respond wisely. It's saying, "This is what's here. Let me meet it, not fight it." Psychologists call it radical acceptance. The moment you stop arguing with your reality, your nervous system begins to calm. Not because the problem is gone, but because you are no longer doubling it with resistance. Anxiety plus resistance. Suffering. Anxiety plus acceptance. Clarity. You wake up anxious, the mind races. Old reflex, panic. Fight it. Distract. New response, pause, and whisper. "I see you." You breathe, you feel your feet. You sit with the feeling like an old friend who speaks in riddles. Suddenly, it softens, and you do too. Try this. When anxiety comes, name it. Gently. This is worry. Allow it. Don't push it away. Then breathe. Deeply. Again and again. This is not weakness. It is mental strength. To stay present with what hurts without fleeing is the mark of inner power. Fear is not weakness. It's the first spark of awakening. Every time anxiety visits you, it carries an invitation. Will you shrink or will you shift? Freedom isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to move through it with wisdom. And Stoicism offers the lens to do just that. The Stoics knew that what you believe shapes how you feel. If you believe anxiety is a threat, you'll flinch and flee. But if you believe anxiety is a teacher, you'll lean in and listen. The mindset shift from "I am unsafe" to "I am challenged" can change everything. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This is radical power. It means you can't always control what shows up, but you always control how you meet it. Freedom begins where reactivity ends, and awareness is the key that unlocks that door. When anxiety hits, it's easy to feel powerless, but the Stoic mindset says, this is a test, not a punishment. It shifts your identity from a victim to a student. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this here to teach me?" That's not denial. That's mastery. Try this. When anxiety rises, ask 3 things. What am I afraid of? What story am I telling about it? Is that story true, or just old wiring? This tiny pause, this moment of mindful reflection, is the start of freedom. It turns chaos into clarity. Freedom doesn't need a revolution. It needs repetition. Each time you choose response over reaction, you are building a new nervous system. You are rewiring your mind toward stillness. Not just once, but breath by breath. This is the Stoic path. Daily, quiet liberation. So when fear arrives again, and it will, greet it like an old messenger. Not with panic, but with presence. Not with resistance, but with reason. And remember, you are not here to escape fear. You are here to walk through it until it no longer leads, but follows you. Anxiety isn't your enemy. It's your inner compass, pointing to where growth is waiting. The Stoics taught us not to run from fear, but to understand it, to stop wrestling with emotions and start walking alongside them. You've learned that anxiety is a signal, not a sentence. That by shifting your mindset, pausing to reflect and responding with reason, you regain control, not over the world, but over yourself. And in that quiet mastery lies your freedom. What you feel is not who you are. What you choose in the face of fear, that's who you become. If this message resonated, share it with someone who's fighting silent battles. Subscribe if you're choosing calm over chaos. And remember, every breath you take with presence is a small act of rebellion against fear. Be still, be aware, be free.